Reactive Co-sleeping. The thud woke me. The thud was the sound of my son kicking his bedroom wall. This isn't new. He rolls like a hay baler in his sleep. I didn't move until I heard his high, squeaky voice call for Mommy. But Mommy is tired. She spent the last week working in the UK, and now she's home and trying to flip her schedule. It's just been me and the kids all week, and if I don't put the boy back to sleep, my wife and I would spend the rest of the night with a 2-foot-tall amateur martial artist kicking us in the back of the head until morning. The boy likes to sleep in a style I affectionately call punch snuggle. Punch snuggling is like regular snuggling, but with fists, knees, and a heel in the abdomen, back, or face. Struggling out of bed, I kept my eyes closed until I felt the edge of the dresser press against my arm. Cracking my left eyelid open, I saw the numbers on the clock read 3:06. It was 3 in the morning, and my brain felt like a trash fire. I walked into the hall and heard whispering. Maybe I didn't wake up fast enough. I thought Kay was still in bed, but I could barely keep my eyes open. So who knows what was happening? It didn't matter. I should take over. Kay needed her sleep. She would have meetings all day tomorrow. I shuffled into the hallway. Ben's door was open, and the muffled whispering from his bedroom sounded like gurgling gibberish. The little man called out for Mom again. "I want Mommy!" he yelled. I groaned. This was going to be one of those nights. Sometimes Ben doesn't wake up all the way. He falls into a zone that is half awake and half asleep. Then he'll scream and cry until he's in bed with us. The only way we can get him to calm down is to have him sleep between us, which isn't great for us because of all the punch snuggling. But I'm not exaggerating. I get kicked in the kidneys, and Kay has a toddler's forehead pushed in between her shoulder blades. This co-sleeping happens every other night. It's not a great solution, but at least we didn't have to buy a dog like we did with our daughter. She refused to sleep in her bed until we bought a guard dog and gave it a spot in her room. The dog is cute. The dog is always scared, but May loves it, and that's what's important. "I want Mommy!" Ben yelled again, and I looked up as Kay led him from his room to the hall. I smiled my best commiserating smile. It's more of a closed-mouth grin with raised eyebrows that usually pulls a huff or laugh from Kay, but her face said she was having none of it tonight. I understood she needed me to step up and care for the kids so she could care for us. It was a deal we made when I became a stay-at-home dad. I pushed away from the wall. Sorry, I didn't hear him right away. I must be more tired than I thought. I apologized to my wife. Let's get the little man to bed. I turned my attention to my son. "Do you need some water, buddy?" "I want Mommy!" he whined and tried to pull away from Kay, but she didn't let him go. I remember thinking that was odd, but I was too tired to understand why I felt that. I crouched down to my son's level, and my knee popped. "Hey, little man, Mommy's right next to you. She's holding your hand." Ben wrenched his hand away from Kay and grabbed the sleeve of my pajama shirt in his tiny fist. "That's not Mommy." The hairs on my scalp stood at attention. Ben seemed so genuine and sure that, for a moment, I believed him. But I glanced up at Kay. Her eyes were wide, and a frown turned the corners of her mouth into a scowl. Children who talked in their sleep were an adventure. "I want Mommy," Ben yowled. "Okay, all right, let's go to the bedroom and we'll get Mommy." I placated as I led my glassy-eyed son to our bedroom. Kay followed, and I tried to commiserate with her with an awkward smile and a shoulder shrug. But she wasn't looking at me. Her eyes focused on our bedroom door. That's when I heard the voice. It was Kay's voice. But I was still watching Kay over my shoulder, and Kay's mouth didn't move. "I'm up. I'm here. I'm coming," the voice said from our bedroom. I watched as Kay, who walked behind me and my son, turned her head and pierced me with a wide-open gaze. Her eyes were much darker than they should be, and a mix of panic and frustration pinched her features. Ben pulled at my arm, and I stumbled forward as Kay, my wife, shuffled out of our bedroom and into the hallway. There were 2 Kays. I'm up," the Kay in our bedroom doorway declared as she rubbed her eyes. Our son lunged forward and clenched his short arms around Kay's legs. My wife held our son and smiled sleepily at me. Then she shifted her focus to the figure behind me, and her face lost all of its color. The hair on my neck stood at attention, and the smell of brackish water filled my senses. I turned to the figure behind me, filling the hallway the best I could, putting my body between it and my son. The smell of stale water and decay overwhelmed me, and panic took my breath as I realized that whatever this was between me and my daughter's room. But before I could react, the figure that moments ago was holding my son's hand and leading him out of his room dissolved or melted. One moment, it was there. The next, it was gone. And the carpet was wet and stained with muddy footprints. My wife gripped my hand as she clung to Ben, and together, we pulled our daughter and her dog from her room. We refused to let go of each other, which confused our preteen daughter, but she had dealt with her parents' weirdness before and didn't complain much as we piled in the car. We left the house that night, and haven't been back since. And that was Reactive Co-sleeping by E. Latimer. Now, yet again, it's another short but sweet, good little story. What I found to be really interesting was, even though I knew we were reading some kind of a horror story, right? I very quickly judged our main character when I found out they were like a stay-at-home dad, and that somehow they didn't reach the baby before the wife did. I felt that whole situation like super weird. No, I was like, dude, you're really dropping the ball here. Like, what the fuck? She's, just come back from a different country. She's probably fucking exhausted and everything. Like, come on, dude. Like, you got to step it up. I know you might be, having a rough time or whatever. It'll be in the outtakes whenever that video goes out. But yeah, so I was so quick to judge, which was so wrong of me. Because yet again, also, like, when I noticed, then obviously the kid is like, oh, kind of not really wanting to be with this person, this K. Then I was like, oh, okay, it's shenanigans going on. I see. So it's a fake person. I didn't know exactly what kind of level of fake person, because the fact that even the husband still believed it was her was interesting. So clearly, this is some. It makes me think of something more like a mimic, like something that can properly replicate what somebody looks like. And for some reason, it seemed to be only interested in the child. In which case, maybe this is a monster that snatches either children or babies or something like that. Maybe to a certain age, they aren't really so interested in the flesh. Maybe it's like Hansel and Gretel kind of a thing, or some other kind of child-eating monster demon thing. It's hard to say. There's a variety of those in like folklore and stuff like that, but weirdly not a crazy amount in like horror stories and movies and things, which is weird. You think there would be? But yeah, I was doing some Googling about like baby snatching movies and stuff like that, and there's a fair amount of like comedies, which is weird, right? And I was like, I suppose that's okay, but it's more that like the baby's gone on like an adventure or some shit like that. Yeah. So the things it made me think of, I mean, yet again, naturally, the first thing was the idea of a mimic, some kind of a, but not like a mimic as in like not quite full on Dungeons and Dragons lore. Although I bet you there are mimics like that can really properly doppelganger kind of people in Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure that's a thing. Maybe there's a different term for it. I'm not sure. But yet again, I mean, doppelgangers obviously is a decent call for this, any kind of a doppelganger movie, or even like the Twitter story or the other stories of doppelgangers I've covered. Sorry, there's a lot of cars today. Otherwise, it also made me think of the movie Us back in 2019, when you had the family who ended up finding like their own cells replicated as in like some kind of a serial killer format. It was really it was an interesting little film. Gotta say, it is strange, and that's the best part, right? Even though yet again, this was only one mimic doppelganger that only replicated the mother. Probably because, yet again, the point was to take the child. I'm not saying they were going to eat the child, but there's a decent possibility there's something like that going on, where they eat babies. I'm sure. I'm sure that's... Why else would you take children? Why else would you take children? I suppose, yes, obviously, in human terms, no, we don't eat children. That's why we kidnap babies. We kidnap babies usually for ransoming and for making money off of them, or putting them into, human trafficking shit. Horrifying things. Still also super dark. But, yet again, like horror story senses and folklore and stuff, it's more about, like, the eating of children. So, it's an interesting disconnect. I'm not really sure. Really interesting. Yeah, so, child abduction. Super dark topic in some cases. But, does lead to some interesting true crime documentaries. Not that I think that's amazing. You know, I do love the documentaries, but I think abducting children is obviously heinous and insane and disgusting. But that's just me. I really hope you've enjoyed the story. I know I sure as shit have. Let me know down in the comments below what you think this was, or what you think the deal was, what you think the situation is. I'm really curious as to other people's interpretations. I like getting discussions going. It's really great. Don't forget, I've also got a community feature on YouTube now, so if you ever want to put up posts, asking questions, trying to do discussions and stuff, you can do it in my channel. I don't exactly know how it works. I haven't really messed around with it too much. I just know it's enabled. So it's probably on my channel somewhere. I'm sure it must be a thing on my channel. Maybe there's a post or a community tab. I'm really not sure. Because obviously if I go to my page, it looks different for me because it's mine and I see all the background stuff. So yeah, anyway. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you yet again, E. Latimer, for this wonderful opportunity of reading your story. I've been Nate at Night. I've had a great time, and I sure hope you have too. We'll see you for whatever's next. Take care out there. Shout out to these cool peeps. Seriously, we wouldn't have got this far without them. You're all amazing. I love you all so much. Honestly, it's tremendous work you do. Supporting the channel, keeping us afloat. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. You too could become a cool peep for just $1 a month. What that's going to get you is 2 weeks early access to future videos. It's also going to get you exclusive members-only content. And there might be extra goodies coming along the way. What can I say? I'm just charitable like that. You can also show your support by tipping through either Super Chats, Super Thanks, both on YouTube, or through my Streamlabs.com URL, which will be in the description of future videos below. Cheers for now, guys.